The Millionaire and the Beggar, the story of a black man's journey. There's a story sweeping through New York's glittering skyline that sounds too wild to be true. Derek Smith, a man with hands that could build miracles, now caught in a web tighter than anyone predicted. The guy had nothing, just debts stacking up like the cold walls of the subway tunnels he sometimes slept in. They called him the Beggar behind his back. But overnight, the city's chatter shifted. Suddenly, Derek's name rolls out next to Lucy Taylor, the daughter of Gabriel Taylor, the business titan whose empire's shaking like a leaf in a storm. You'd think it was a joke. How does a brilliant engineer with zero cash get roped into a marriage with a titan's daughter, especially when the world's watching, whispering things that don't belong in daylight? Rumors bounced off the towering skyscrapers, talk of secret meetings, shady handshakes behind closed doors, and a plan cooked up inside glass towers where power smells like money and fear. But here's the kicker. This isn't just some climb-the-ladder hustle. The real story lies beneath the surface, in shadows you can almost hear breathing. Derek's eyes, sharp, haunted, hold stories he isn't eager to tell. His fingers tremble sometimes, not from cold, but from the weight on his chest, the kind of heaviness that crushes hope into pieces. Lucy, on the other hand, moves with a polished confidence, but behind her icy smile, there's a flicker, something wild, almost desperate. She's the city's golden daughter, the heiress who's supposed to marry for power. But this feels like survival. For her father's failing empire, and maybe for something more. The night they announced their alliance, the air in the penthouse buzzed electric. Reporters buzzed in tight circles, trying to catch a slip of truth. Derek, a figure out of place in his rough jacket, contrasted sharply against Lucy's haute couture. The press dubbed them the Millionaire and the Beggar, a headline drowning in both scandal and hope. Some said it was a calculated move to save Taylor Industries from collapse. Others whispered darker things, whispers about dirty money, betrayals, old secrets clawing their way back. Underneath the city lights, between the flashing cameras and hushed conversations, something unexpected was growing. They're not just playing a game right now. Together, they've started diving into the city's forgotten corners, crumbling blocks where people barely scrape by, where hope has died hard. Social projects, rebuilding homes, fixing clinics that past leaders ignored. The city watches, curious, baffled, waiting to see if this unlikely pair can change the rules. But on that night, the actual wedding night, Lucy dropped a bomb. She showed Derek something no one else knew. Secret accounts swollen beyond reason. Money hidden away from even Gabriel Taylor's ruthless eyes. And then her plan. Rebirth, she called it. A crazy, beautiful dream to give homes and health to the city's shadows. Not just charity, but a revolution wrapped in compassion. Gabriel didn't like that one bit. His voice, sharp as shattered glass, warned Lucy. He tightened his grip, afraid of losing her to a future neither he nor the world could control. Derek, caught between his own rage and rising doubts, wrestled with the fear that maybe he wasn't enough for all this, and whether Lucy's vision was a light to follow or a flame to burn them both alive. Then, just as hope flickered the strongest, a secret from Lucy's past clawed back from the darkness, threatening to rip apart what little trust they'd built. The city held its breath, What if the foundations were lies? Derek sat alone, the city's noise fading into distant sirens and restless winds. His hands clenched tight. The crossroads loomed ahead. One path meant backing Lucy, believing in a dream bigger than them both. The other, letting everything fall apart and walking away. What would he choose? Could love really conquer when the stakes felt this sharp, this raw? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. A lot of subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at that red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any of the exclusive content coming your way. And while you're here, hit that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Derek sat alone, the city's noise fading into distant sirens and restless winds. His hands clenched tight. The crossroads loomed ahead. One path meant backing Lucy, believing in a dream bigger than them both. The other, letting everything fall apart and walking away. As he wrestled with these thoughts, there was a sudden commotion outside the penthouse. Shouts fell through the air like raindrops. Derek's heart raced. He glanced toward the window, and his breath caught. A dark figure burst through the door, breathless and wild. It was Sam, Derek's old friend from the streets. He had a wild look in his eyes, panic painting his face. "Derek, you've got to—" "Sam, what's going on?" Derek stood, concern flooding his chest. "Lucy, it's about Lucy." Sam rushed forward, grabbing Derek's shoulders. "You need to listen. It's urgent." The confusion twisted like a knife in Derek's gut. "What do you mean? What about her? Is she okay?" "Everything's not what it seems." Sam gasped for air. "You know how her father is? Gabriel, he has secrets, things he's hiding. You have to dig deeper." Derek felt a chill creep down his spine. "Secrets? What are you talking about?" "Lucy isn't just in this for the city. Her plan, it's not what you think. That money, she's tied to it. Tied to him in ways you can't imagine." Sam's eyes pierced through Derek's confusion, urgency spilling from his voice. "You need to confront her, now." Before Derek could respond, the room filled with whispers and gasps. Reporters outside were clamoring, and the headlines seemed to echo through the chaos. "Billionaire's daughter in secret web of lies." The city buzzed with intrigue, and Derek felt a wave of nausea sweep over him. "Sam, you're scaring me," Derek said, his voice trembling. "I'm just saying, she's more tangled in her father's business than you know. He's dangerous, and you're next in line to be dragged under." Sam's words landed like heavy stones. Derek stepped back, a storm of emotions crashing inside him. Lucy, the woman who inspired him, who seemed a beacon, was caught in Gabriel's web? Was he blind to the truth? Then it hit him like a freight train. Those secret accounts had to be tied to something deeper, a legacy of corruption, a blood price. "What if Lucy's really just a pawn?" he whispered, the idea twisting his heart. The room felt colder. Derek glanced towards Lucy, who was stepping in through another door, her face illuminated by the dim lights. And then he saw it, a flash of something in her eyes that didn't match her confident demeanor. A flicker of fear, a shadow he couldn't ignore. "Derek?" Lucy's voice broke through the haze as she approached. "What's going on?" He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Sam stood there, arms crossed, watching Derek with a knowing look. The silence stretched, thick as the tension hanging in the air. Then, without warning, the lights flickered violently before plunging the penthouse into darkness. The whisper of the city faded to nothing. In that instant, a loud crash resonated through the room. The sound of glass shattering echoed, and screams erupted just outside the door. "Stay back!" Derek shouted, instinctively moving in front of Lucy. But before he could process what was happening, Sam lunged forward, shouting, "Run! Get out of here!" In the chaos, Lucy grasped Derek's hand, squeezing tight. "What is happening?" And just as Derek opened his mouth to explain, a loud explosion ripped through the air. The walls shuddered. Smoke poured in, swirling around them. In that moment, everything turned upside down. The past, the secrets, the future, everything exploded into chaos. "Lucy!" Derek shouted, but the words were swallowed by the confusion. Lights flickered back on, and in that blinding moment, Derek saw that shrapnel was flying, flames licking at the edges of the room. The world spun. Choices lost their meaning. Love, danger, deceit, it tangled like a knot in his chest, with the smoke filling the space and screams echoing all around. One question clawed at Derek's mind. Had Lucy led him into a trap, or had he been the fool all along? Was this their rebirth, or the end of everything? Derek blinked against the thick smoke, his heart pounding in his chest like a drum. The chaos around them felt like a nightmare. Lucy clutched his hand, eyes wide, fear etched across her face. He wanted to protect her, to shield her from everything that was happening. But the air was thickening. The heat grew unbearable. "Lucy, we need to move!" he shouted over the crackling sound of the flames. Just then, the lights flickered back on, revealing the devastation around them. A scene of shattered glass, scorched walls, and panic-stricken faces. Sam stood near the doorway, urgency drawn across his features. "Grab her! We've got to get out now!" Sam yelled, his voice cutting through the chaos. But Derek hesitated, uncertainty clawing at him. He wanted to trust Lucy, to believe in their shared dream, a plan to lift the city from its forgotten corners. He had put his faith in her. Was this how it all ended? But another sound cut through these thoughts, a deep, rumbling growl from the corner of the room. A massive figure stepped into the dim light, silhouetted against the flames. It was a man, tall and broad, face obscured by shadows. Derek's heart raced even faster. "Gabriel," Sam hissed under his breath. "Lucy, stay behind me," Derek commanded, instinctively placing himself between her and the looming figure. Panic, mingled with anger, surged through him. What was Gabriel doing here? "Derek?" Gabriel's voice dripped with cold authority. "You think you can take my daughter away? You have no idea what you're getting into." "Stop this," Lucy shouted, her voice fierce. "I'm not your puppet." Gabriel stepped closer, his eyes dark as storm clouds. "You don't understand. This isn't just about you. You're in over your head, Derek." The air felt electric. Everything was escalating, emotions spiking, like flames licking the walls. Derek's mind whirled. Was this really just about a collapsing empire? Or was something much deeper at play? Suddenly, the lights flickered again, and then another explosion rocked the building. Dust rained down like snowflakes, and the ground shifted. Derek felt Lucy's grip tighten on his hand. "We need to go," he shouted. But in that moment, the world fractured. A loud crash echoed around them, and the roof began to crumble. As the dust swirled, Derek turned to grab Lucy, but she was staring, frozen, at something behind him. "Lucy, what are you?" "Derek, look!" Tears streamed down her face, illuminating a revelation that sent a chill racing through him. A hidden door behind Gabriel swung wide, and from it stepped a woman, dignified yet weary, dressed in threads of gold. Derek's heart dropped. There was no mistaking her. It was Evelyn, Lucy's long-lost mother, a woman thought to be dead. "Mother?" Lucy whispered, disbelief dancing in her eyes. Evelyn lifted her chin, her gaze piercing through the chaos. "I've waited too long for this moment." Derek's mind spun. "You're alive? All this time?" He had no idea how to process it. The storm within Lucy reached a breaking point. "What did you do? What have you been hiding?" "Everything you thought you knew is a lie," Evelyn said, stepping forward. "Your life, this empire, it's all tied to a darkness that runs deeper than you can imagine." Derek's stomach twisted. This was the revelation that changed everything. It wasn't just about city corruption or a failing business. It was a web of secrets that had entangled their lives, unearthing relationships more complex than he ever anticipated. As the room continued to shake, Derek felt a weight of dread settle in. He could see the threads of loyalty fraying, ready to snap. Was Lucy a pawn in a game too big to fathom? Or had she been meant to lead? "Derek!" Lucy's voice broke through his thoughts, urgency mingling with fear. "We have to leave, now." But as another boom echoed through the room, Derek was faced with an impossible choice. With every second ticking away, one question clawed at him. In this tangled mess of love, betrayal, and truth, could he still trust the woman he thought he knew? Derek stood frozen, Lucy's hand gripping his tighter as the chaos swirled around them. Evelyn's appearance shattered everything he thought he knew. The flames flickered, casting her shadow long and ominous. "What do you mean it's a lie?" Lucy demanded, her voice trembling with disbelief. Evelyn's eyes glinted with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. "Lucy, your father has built this entire empire on secrets. Dark, twisted secrets that threaten to unravel everything. I thought I could protect you, but it seems fate has forced my hand." Derek's mind raced. What secrets? What does this have to do with us? But just as the words left his lips, another explosion ricocheted through the penthouse, sending debris raining down. Panic surged through him. An instinct kicked in. "Get behind me!" he shouted, pushing Lucy to the side. Sam sprinted towards the door, his urgency palpable. "Derek, come on!" But he couldn't leave without answers. Not now. "Evelyn, what are you talking about?" For a fleeting moment, her face softened. "You don't understand. Gabriel is involved in something much larger than business. He's connected to criminal organizations. They forged your past, Derek. You're not as far removed as you think." His heart plummeted. "What are you saying? You have to be mistaken." But her eyes bore into him, fierce and unyielding. "You're linked to it. All of this, the city, your life, it's a part of a bigger plan." A roar of confusion clashed within him. Is that why Lucy isn't who she appears to be? Is that why you faked your death? Before she could respond, the lights flickered again, the room blurring in and out of focus. Then, without warning, the front wall of the penthouse shattered. Glass exploded outward like shrapnel, sending Derek reeling backward, adrenaline surging. "Derek!" Lucy cried, her voice strangled with fear. He barely registered the figures storming into the room through the broken wall, men in dark suits, faces masked. "Get down!" Sam yelled, shoving Lucy and Derek behind a couch, just as bullets commenced flying, ricocheting off the walls. Derek's heart thudded. What the hell is happening? Suddenly, the masked men turned toward Evelyn. "You shouldn't have come back, Evelyn," one sneered, cold like steel. "You've put everyone at risk." "What are you doing?" Derek exclaimed, panic rising. These men knew her. She had put him in danger just by being there. "Stay out of this, Derek," Evelyn shouted, her composure slipping. "You don't even know what side you're on." But in that moment, realization hit him like a punch to the gut. The darkness, the secrets, they weren't just about Gabriel anymore. The weight in his chest grew heavier. He was caught in a crossfire that he never wanted to be a part of. Before he could process it, one of the masked men lunged for Evelyn. "You think you could just vanish and return? You betrayed us!" Derek felt a surge of anger and fear. "Run! Get out!" he shouted to Lucy, but she stood transfixed, eyes wide with disbelief. Then, in an instant, the world shifted again. Evelyn lunged at the man, her hands reaching for something in her pocket. A gun? A weapon? Derek couldn't tell. All he knew was that the room erupted in chaos as the two clashed. "You don't understand the power you're playing with," Evelyn screamed. And with that, the gun fired, echoing through the chaos. The bullet hit its target, but it wasn't the man. It struck Lucy, who had rushed forward in a desperate attempt to stop the danger. Time froze as Derek's heart shattered. "Lucy!" he cried, rushing to her side. The world swirled around him, faces fading into shadows, the noise of chaos drowning out his thoughts. But there on the floor, Lucy gasped, a shimmering light fading from her eyes. Derek fell to his knees, holding her close. "Lucy, no!" The tears streamed down his face as the smoke filled the air. The truth crashed over him like a tidal wave. Questions whirled in his mind. Who was Lucy really? Had he truly known her? But as twilight settled, he felt something in her hand, a small, crumpled piece of paper. With trembling fingers, he unfolded it, and what he saw made everything fall apart. In that moment, as everything he believed shattered around him, one question screamed for attention. Had the woman he'd loved, the woman who inspired him, been part of the very darkness he sought to escape? Derek sat there, cradling Lucy in his arms, the world around him crumbling into chaos. Tears streamed down his face as he stared helplessly at her fading light. The crumpled paper in his hand felt like fire against his skin. He took a deep breath, his chest tightening, as he read the small, shaky handwriting. It was a list. Names, dates, and then next to the last name, a single sentence that sent a chilling wave of betrayal crashing over him. "The project continues with the next generation." His stomach dropped. What project? What did it mean? Just then, Lucy's eyes fluttered, searching for him. "Derek, stay with me, please," he choked out, his hands shaking as he applied pressure to her wound. The chaos continued around them, but all he could see was her face. Then something shifted. A loud thud echoed from behind them. The masked men were advancing, but their focus shifted. Gabriel had entered the fray. He pushed through the crowd, eyes wild with rage. "Get away from her!" he roared, his voice thundering above the chaos. The sight of their father sent Lucy reeling, her face pale with fear. "Dad, please help!" she cried. But instead of coming to her aid, Gabriel met Derek's gaze, venom in his eyes. "You think you can save her? You don't know what you're dealing with." Derek's heart felt like it would shatter. "You did this. You kept her in the dark. You betrayed her." "I did what was necessary to protect this family," Gabriel snarled. "And now you're a threat." Before he could respond, Evelyn moved in front of Derek and Lucy. "Gabriel, stop this. You're acting like a madman. This isn't how we save her." But then it happened. A sudden explosion ripped through the room, and everything went white. It felt like the ground itself had broken apart. Dust and debris flew, engulfing them in darkness. When the light returned, Derek blinked, gasping for breath. The penthouse lay in ruins, smoke curling around them. But it wasn't the destruction that froze his veins. It was the sight before him. Lucy was gone, just vanished. His heart raced as he scanned the wreckage. "Lucy! Lucy!" Panic clawed at him, but all he could see were shadows of chaos. The masked men were retreating, and Gabriel's expression shifted from fury to confusion. "She was..." But before he could finish, Evelyn's tortured scream sliced through the silence. "No, she can't be gone!" And just like that, Derek felt a pull deep within him. It was a sense he hadn't noticed before, a tingle of energy. No time for logic, no time for fear. He ran, following the pulse, darting past the wreckage until he found a hidden door cracked open, beckoning him into the unknown. He burst through, heart pounding. What lay on the other side wasn't just a corridor. It was an underground tunnel, sprawling and dark. As he stepped in, a voice echoed in the shadows. "It's begun, Derek." The words sent chills racing down his spine. From the murky depths emerged a familiar figure, shrouded in darkness. It was Sam. "Sam, where's Lucy? What have you done?" But instead of answering, Sam tilted his head slightly, a smirk playing on his lips. "You're too late. The truth about the project is deeper than you know. Lucy played her part perfectly." Derek felt the world shift again. "What are you talking about? Her life? A distraction. A means to an end. You were always just a player in the game." The real plan was never about saving the city. It was always about control. The revelation hit like a punch. The urgency vanished, replaced by a cold realization. Lucy, she knew. "Welcome to the real game," Sam said, his voice unsettlingly calm. "And let's be honest, your part was disposable." Derek stumbled back, his mind racing, trying to piece together what he had just heard. The city he sought to save, the love he had fought for, it all twisted into a betrayal he never saw coming. Somewhere in those shadows, Lucy must have been playing a role far beyond his comprehension. And now, she was lost. "Where is she?" Derek's voice was barely a whisper, the weight of despair heavy on him. "You'll never find her unless you're willing to join the darkness." Sam stepped closer, eyes glimmering with something unnameable. Derek felt a shudder ripple through him. The game had changed, the stakes had risen, and now everything hung by a thread. Could he still find Lucy? Or had he already lost her in a world full of lies? A sinister chill wrapped around him as he brushed past Sam, the truth echoing in the back of his mind. He was thrust into darkness, and the only way out was to embrace the very shadow he sought to escape. The corridor before him stretched into the unknown, filled with darkness and uncertainty. What awaited him was unclear, but one thought burned bright. No matter the cost, he had to find Lucy. Derek stood there, heart pounding, the darkness wrapping around him like a heavy blanket. He could still feel Lucy's warm presence slipping away, the urgency to find her propelling him forward into the tunnels. Each step was a battle against despair, the echo of Sam's words pooling dread in his chest. But as he moved deeper, the air shifted. It was charged, electric, like a storm brewing. He turned a corner, the narrow passageway stretching endlessly ahead. Shadows danced along the walls, flickering in and out of existence, the pounding in his heart synchronized with the rhythm of his breath. And then he heard it, a low humming noise. It vibrated through the floor, sending a tremor up his legs. He paused, his instincts screaming for him to be careful. "What is that?" he whispered to himself. It drew him in, a siren song weaving through the silence. Suddenly, the lights flickered on, illuminating a cavernous space. It was an underground lair, and in the center stood a group of people in dark suits. They faced a massive screen, eyes glued to the flickering images. Derek's stomach nodded. They were watching something. He edged forward, curiosity outweighing caution. Through the jagged metal shelves, he caught glimpses of footage, city streets, people in anguish, images of Lucy. "What the hell?" Derek whispered, wide-eyed. The longer he watched, the clearer it became. They were exploiting the chaos, manipulating the suffering for gain. He stepped closer, heart racing. A voice broke through the tension, one he recognized. "The project is a success, but we need leverage, a powerful piece on the board." It was Gabriel. "Look at the data," another suit said, with a sneer. "Taylor Industries will thrive with this collateral. We just need to control the narrative." Derek felt his blood run cold. Was this what Lucy had been caught up in? Was this the darkness she fought against? He clenched his fists, rage bubbling inside him. This wasn't just a game, it was a damn war. But then, a blaring alarm shattered the tension. Red lights flashed, and the air filled with urgency. "What the hell?" someone yelled, and they scrambled into action. Before he could react, the floor beneath him erupted. A hidden door swung wide, and out poured hazy figures, faces obscured with masks. Gunfire erupted. Bullets whizzed past him, lodging into the walls with sickening thuds. Derek ducked behind a pillar, heart racing. The suited men were shouting, chaos erupting in seconds. And then someone yelled, "Get the girl!" The mention of Lucy shot through Derek like ice. "Lucy!" he barked, scrambling out from his hiding spot. Then, as fast as it started, the room erupted in blood. Derek's breath caught in his throat, horrified. A man fell, a bullet lodged in his side. He gasped, eyes wide in shock. But it was the face that caught Derek's attention. He knew that face. "Sam!" Derek yelled, recognition crashing over him. Sam stumbled backward, blood pouring from his mouth. Derek's stomach twisted. "No!" He rushed forward. But Sam raised a hand, eyes wild. "It's too late, Derek! You need to—" And then the shocking twist. Sam's hand wavered and moved, revealing something he had pressed against his chest. A detonator. Everything shattered in Derek's world. "Sam, don't!" he screamed. But it was too late. The tension, the chaos, it all came together in an explosive crescendo. Sam's finger pressed down, and suddenly, blinding light engulfed the room. Derek's heart stopped as the entire building shuddered. The walls seemed to breathe. He felt the force push him back, fear slick as ice running down his spine. Amidst the chaos, one thought echoed in his mind. Had Sam been the real threat all along? Had he been playing both sides, tangled in a dark scheme, only to drag Derek into it? As everything around him crumbled, the truth shattered the illusion. Had he been loving someone who only existed as a tool in a wicked plan? The last memory flickered before him, the image of Lucy. What if she wasn't the only one trapped in this web? And in that final moment, as darkness consumed him, Derek knew he had to find out. What lay beyond this devastating twist? What waited for him in the true depths of betrayal? Derek's world exploded into chaos. The blinding light faded, and he found himself gasping for breath, surrounded by rubble and smoke. The echo of Sam's laughter lingered in his ears. A horrible sound now intermingled with screams and gunfire. He pushed himself up, disoriented but driven by desperation. "Lucy!" he shouted again, stumbling through debris, heart hammering against his ribcage. The floor beneath him felt unstable, shifting like the ground could swallow him whole. Where was she? He could hardly see through the haze of confusion and dust. His strength, he dashed toward the gaping hole where the wall had been, the sounds of chaos fading behind him, consumed by the roar of flames and chaos erupting around. Just ahead, shadows moved. A figure staggered out of the smoke, half illuminated by the flickering lights. Derek? It was Evelyn, panting, her hands stained with ash and fear. For a split second, he felt a flicker of hope at the sight of her. But then the realization hit him. She was tied to the very danger that had engulfed them. "Where's Lucy?" he demanded, panic rising in his throat. "What happened?" Evelyn's gaze shifted, a flicker of unease crossing her features. I don't know. We need to get out of here." And then something behind her caught Derek's attention, a flash of movement. In an instant, a masked figure lunged forward, right at Evelyn. Derek's instincts kicked in. He shot forward to push her aside, but time slowed. "Watch out!" he yelled, adrenaline surging as he threw himself into the path of the attack. A sharp pain ripped through his side. Everything around him dimmed for a moment, and he felt warmth spreading. "No!" Evelyn screamed, crumpling to the ground beside him. As Derek collapsed to the floor, he struggled to comprehend the immense pain stabbing through him. The masked figure didn't stop. A few of the suited men were charging toward them, but Derek couldn't focus. The haze was thickening again. Then, as darkness loomed in, a sound pierced through, the soft whir of a helicopter overhead. Growing louder, it sliced through the chaos, a lifeline in the storm. But with it came the revelation: someone had orchestrated this entire disaster. Someone had set them all up. Derek gasped, forcing himself to stay conscious. He needed answers, needed to know where Lucy was. And that's when he remembered the piece of paper in his pocket. The names. They were more than just a list. He pulled it out with trembling fingers, but it slipped through his grasp, dancing away on the wind. He cursed himself for being so weak, but his focus was fading. Suddenly, the shadows loomed larger, all of them drowning in the chaos. Time felt like it was running out. Before he could react, a loud blast echoed from nearby, a deafening boom that rocked the world off its axis. "No!" Derek shouted, but it was too late. The explosion sent him flying back, hitting the ground and going black. When he opened his eyes again, he lay in a dark chamber, the air heavy with scents he couldn't recognize. His heartbeat slowed, thumping against the silence. He pushed himself up slowly, heart racing. Was he alive? He looked around, feeling disoriented. But then his eyes caught something, a familiar voice. "Derek?" It was Lucy. She stood at the far end of the room, her face pale and shining with fear and disbelief. But there was something else, something lurking behind her eyes. "Lucy!" He lunged to reach for her, but she recoiled, stepping back. "What's wrong?" "Derek, you don't understand," she stammered, panic rising in her voice. "You weren't supposed to find out. None of this was supposed to happen." "What?" he exclaimed, dread settling deep in his gut. "What do you mean?" And that's when everything changed. A figure stepped out of the shadows beside her, a face he hadn't seen in ages. His own father, a man he thought was dead. "Surprise, son," he said, voice dripping with haunting familiarity. Derek's mouth went dry. "No, this can't be. You were gone." "Gone, or hidden," the man said, stepping closer. "This whole game, Derek, it was all in motion long before you ever arrived." Questions whirled in Derek's mind like a tornado. "Why are you here? What does this mean?" But even as he spoke, Lucy turned, eyes glaring fiercely. "You have no idea who you're really dealing with," she spat. "This was never just about the city or the empire. It's about control. And now it's your turn to choose." The weight of despair crashed over him like an avalanche. He struggled against it, fighting to comprehend the truth unfurling before him, turning on the very people he had trusted. Where was the line? What had he stumbled into? "Derek," Lucy continued, a chill threading through her voice, "it all leads back to us. And in this moment, with both love and betrayal seeping into every crevice of his being, he realized he was trapped in a legacy he never wanted to inherit. Everything he knew was falling apart, and in its wake lay the darkness of secrets he couldn't yet comprehend. Derek stood at the brink, choices looming. But one burning question pierced through the fog. Had he ever truly known Lucy? And if she was part of this, what did it mean for him? Derek stood in shock, Lucy's words echoing in his mind. The room felt like it was closing in on him. "This was never just about the city," she had said. The implications of that hung heavy in the air. He wanted to scream, to throw everything back into chaos. But the sight of his father, someone he thought was gone forever, rooted him in place. "Why are you here?" Derek demanded, fists clenched. "What did you—" "Derek, it's complicated," his father said, voice low and steady. "You need to listen. There's so much you don't know." But Derek couldn't think. His heart raced, surging with anger and confusion. You abandoned me. You let me think you were dead. Everything I've done, every choice I made, it was all for nothing? The tension thickened. No, you don't understand. There are bigger players at work here, his father pressed, stepping closer, desperately trying to connect. But Derek felt the distance between them grow. Lucy shook her head, a haunted look taking hold of her features. You need to wake up, Derek. This isn't just your father you're dealing with. The hold he has, it extends far beyond you. Before he could reply, something shifted in the shadows, a figure emerging from behind a stack of crates. Derek's pulse quickened. A woman stepped into the flickering light. It was Maggie, their ally from the early days, but not the one he remembered. There was something cold and calculating in her eyes now, a glint of malice that sent a chill down his spine. "Hello, Derek," she said, a smirk creeping across her face. "Didn't expect to see me here, did you?" "Why are you here?" he spat, feeling the weight of betrayal crack the air. "Oh, sweet Derek, I've been watching everything unfold. The chaos, the rise, and now, of course, the fall." She looked past him, eyes narrowing. "And you brought it to your front door." "Enough," Lucy's voice rang out with an urgency that brought everyone to a halt. "What does this have to do with your father and the project?" Maggie stepped closer, her laughing eyes locking onto Derek's. "Ah, but that's the fun part. Your father and I, we have a history. A shared vision." What was she saying? What vision? Her smile widened. "Everything you fought against here. We've been manipulating the strings all along. The city, the charities, all of it. A stage for your grand show. Just when you thought you were the one running the game, I orchestrated the entire performance." Derek felt the ground shift under him. "No, it can't be." He glanced at Lucy, searching for clarity in her expression. But she was staring at Maggie in disbelief. Maggie continued, her voice a hiss. "You were part of something much bigger than you realized, and now there's no going back. And you, Derek, you're right in the center of it all." Suddenly, without warning, the ground beneath them began to rumble. The walls trembled as if the very building was coming down. Derek's heart raced as dust rained from above. What the hell? The helicopter's machinery above thudded against the air, drowning out their voices. "Run!" Derek shouted, grabbing Lucy's hand. But before they could move, the doors burst open and armed men poured in, their faces cold and expressionless. From the chaos, a voice rang out. "Get them! We can't let them escape!" Derek pulled Lucy tight against him, but before they could take a step, Maggie laughed. "You think this was just a collapse? This is the beginning." Then it happened. An explosion rang out, deafening, ripping through their confined space. Smoke and flames erupted, swallowing everything in their path. Derek felt the heat pulse against his skin, disbelief freezing him in place. "Lucy!" he yelled, but a shadow darted past them, moving too fast. Maggie slipped through the chaos, disappearing into the smoke. Panic surged through Derek. "We have to get out of here!" He pulled Lucy toward the exit, adrenaline pumping through his veins, but her eyes were fixed on the chaos consuming them. "Derek, go! I can't hold on!" she cried out, desperation painting her words. With every step, the world felt like it was slipping away. Then, just as he was about to step outside, he heard a sickening crack. A steel beam fell from above, crashing down like thunder. Time slowed as the world collapsed around them. "Derek!" Lucy screamed, and then blackness. The ground beneath him felt endless. As the darkness surrounded him, Derek's last thought was of the secrets, the betrayals, and how every choice he made echoed in the shadows, leading to this moment. But was it really the end? Or just a twisted beginning he never saw coming? Derek felt everything shift around him, the darkness engulfing him like a thick fog. But then, pain surged through him. His head pounded, and he gasped, fighting to breathe. The world felt jumbled, as if someone had pressed pause on his life, leaving him suspended in chaos. As he fought through the haze, the first thing he noticed was the smell, the acrid scent of smoke mixed with something sweet and metallic. Blood? "Lucy!" he shouted, his voice raw, desperation clawing at his throat. No response came back, only distant echoes of the chaos fading behind him. He struggled to sit up, feeling the weight of debris pinning him down. "Lucy!" Then, all at once, everything shifted. A sharp pain shot through his chest. He blinked, trying to focus, the sounds around him fading away until it was just the pounding of his heart. It took every ounce of strength, but he tore the heavy rubble off himself, clawing his way through the dirt and ash. "Please, no," he moaned, stumbling out into the open space where he had last seen her. But what greeted him sent shockwaves through his system. The area was a wreck, fires smoldering, but there was one figure amidst the devastation: Maggie. She stood there, lit harshly by the flames, with an expression that sent chills down his spine. "Derek," she said, an uncanny calm in her voice. "You need to understand what's happening." "What did you do?" he hissed, pure fury rising inside him. "Where's Lucy?" Maggie rolled her eyes as if he was missing the point. "Oh, Derek, did you really think this was about her? Or you? You're just pieces on a board. The real game? It's much bigger than you can imagine." Then it hit him like a punch to the gut. "No, this can't be right. I won't let you turn this into whatever scheme you're plotting." But Maggie was relentless. "You're already deeper in than you realize. The project, it continues. You've only just scratched the surface." Derek's mind raced as he processed her words. "What project? What are you talking about?" Before she could respond, the walls around them began to shake again. The ground trembled violently beneath his feet. But it wasn't just the destruction. Lightning flashed, an unnatural glow flooding the space. Derek stumbled back in shock as the shadows twisted and morphed around him. Then, in the center of the chaos, he saw something emerge, gleaming and shining. It flooded the room with light, revealing a hidden door that had been masked by the debris. The door swung open, revealing a strange figure cloaked in darkness that stepped into the flickering light. Lucy, Derek's heart leaped with hope, but his breath caught in disbelief. It wasn't her. "Who are you?" The figure pulled back their hood, revealing an unsettlingly familiar face. Derek gasped. It was his own mother, the woman he thought was dead, just like his father. Faint traces of her long-lost smile haunted her features, twisted by shadows of regret. "Derek," she whispered, voice cracked like old paper. "You have to listen. Everything is connected. They don't want you to know the truth." His heart raced. Mom? But they told me you were gone. You've been gone forever. If only it were. That's simple, she continued, stepping into the light, revealing a marked map in her hand, dotted with names and blood. You're standing on the precipice of a truth that could shatter everything you believe. Derek felt the ground pushing back against him, his world collapsing, each revelation hitting harder than the last. Had they all been puppets in a game that had been orchestrated by his own family? Was this legacy one of hope or despair? Maggie smirked, watching the realization wash over him. Your mother's back, and now you'll see where your loyalties truly lie. Derek felt the walls closing in, his mind spiraling. There was no way out, and the one question that pulsed in his veins was who truly controlled the game. Derek stood there, heart racing, every word echoing in his mind. The shadows closed in, each question twisting the knife deeper. "Do you think I care about your twisted games?" he shot back, shaking with rage and fear. "You've taken everything from me." Maggie's smirk faded, replaced by a mixture of anger and something soft. Was it regret? Is that what pushed her forward, closer to him? "You don't understand," she snapped. "This isn't just about you. This is about power, control, the balance we all walk on." "Control?" Derek shouted, memories of his shattered life flooding in. "You think that's what this is about?" Lucy stepped between them, her voice trembling. "Let's just focus on getting out of here. This chaos, it's not just for us." She looked to her mother, her gaze firm. "We need a way to end this. You can't let him control you anymore." Evelyn nodded, her eyes fierce. "Together we can break the cycle, but you need to trust me, Derek. Trust us, both of us." His heart thundered, the weight of the moment heavy. Would he really step into the unknown with the mother he thought lost? Could he trust Lucy now that everything felt like a lie? Maggie laughed, a dark, taunting sound. "You think you can just walk away from this? There's no escape." Suddenly, the darkness flared, burning bright. Figures emerged from the rubble, eyes wild. Gabriel's men, eager and ruthless. "There's nowhere to hide, Derek," one of them yelled, raising a weapon. Derek felt the rush of adrenaline surge through him. "Get down!" he shouted, pulling Lucy close. A shot rang out, echoing his command, as the world exploded around them, debris flying. In that split second, he caught a glimpse of the map his mother held. It was peeling apart, revealing details of everything tied to their fates. "It's all connected," he shouted, pushing through the chaos as understanding dawned. "We can use this." Lucy, breathing heavily, clung to him, eyes wide with hope. "What do we do?" "We fight," he said, determination filling his voice. "We expose them, together." They moved, side by side, ready to tackle whatever lay ahead. Derek's heart raced as they forged through the hidden depths, momentum building. Every step they took brought new clarity, sweeping away the fog of lies and manipulation. The shadows began to retreat, revealing crumbled walls and the outlines of their new reality. "Together!" Evelyn shouted, leading them forward, her voice a beacon. Then they rounded a corner and came face to face with a barricade. Gabriel. He glared at them, eyes burning with fury. "You think you can escape? You've betrayed me." Derek stood tall, no longer the scared little boy. "No, Gabriel, you've betrayed all of us." In that charged moment, the air thickened, raw with tension. "This ends now," Lucy declared, stepping forward, echoing the strength of her mother. Lights flashed. The sound of sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. A glimmer of hope ignited within Derek. They weren't alone. The city had finally awakened. Suddenly he saw it, a chance to escape. "This way," he yelled, leading the charge as they barreled through the makeshift path ahead. They broke free from the shadows, heart pounding. The light blazed as they pushed past the wreckage, and there, in the distance, they saw the faint glow of the city lights, a reminder of hope, of change. But even as they ran, uncertainty loomed. What awaited them outside? Was the city ready to face the truth? In that final moment, as they crossed into the light, Derek knew everything had changed. Their lives were interwoven now, connected by something deeper than secrets and lies. A bond forged through trust and bravery. But outside, the city's heartbeat pounded in quick succession. All it took was one spark to ignite the truth he was prepared to uncover. But Derek wondered, would they emerge from the shadows, or would they be forever trapped in the web that held them captive? Don't forget, you need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories. Smash that like button if this finale got you hooked. Every click helps our community grow. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and reactions about the ending. What do you think happens next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this finale. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel with these actions.